1. Welcome to Manufacturing Talk Radio, the only show that takes a look at the obstacles and opportunities open to small to mid-sized enterprises that manufacture here in America. Brought to you by All Metals and Forge Group, with your hosts Tim Grady and Lou Wise.
Welcome, everyone, to Manufacturing Talk Radio. We are here at the Institute of Supply Management's 100th Anniversary Conference in Phoenix, Arizona. I'm here with my co-host, Lou Wise, who is the sponsor of Manufacturing Talk Radio through his company, All Metals and Forge Group. Lou, how are you today?
I'm doing great. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning to our guests.
We're going to have some fun today. Because we've been having fun in the evenings, particularly the kickoff evening, because of a company called ADTRAV. And we have two of their people here today to kind of tell us the ADTRAV story, who they are. They are a diamond sponsor here at the Institute of Supply Management show. We have Michael Forrester. Michael is Vice President of Business Development for ADTRAV. And we have Adrian Robinett, who is the Communications Specialist for ADTRAV. Michael, how are you today?
I'm doing great, thank you.
Great. And Adrian?
I'm doing great as well. Thank you for asking, and thank you for having us.
Oh, we're excited to have you here. You guys threw a great party. We had a lot of fun.
Well, you know, that's one thing that we'll talk a little bit of the serious side of travel too, but that's the other side of travel is the fact that we can throw a good party, and we're very proud of that.
and you did. You did.
Michael, give us a sense of ADTRAV. What does ADTRAV do?
Well, there's a lot of things that ADTRAV does, and when we really look at it, especially to the ISM community, we've noticed that travel is it's often the second largest controllable expense within a company on the indirect side. And with that, we have brought travel education to procurement, and we try to go into organizations to make sure that they're traveling in the most efficient manner while giving them cost savings consulting and also giving them tools in order to travel with, whether that's technology or services. ADTRAV as a company we provide 24/7 support for travelers that are out there in the field, and we don't outsource any of our travel agent services. So whenever I say someone is, I travel a lot, and really the best way to break this down is sometimes you go to the airport, and I'm also from Chicago, so it's really wonderful weather there.
Yes.
That is, it's especially in the middle of January. There's no snow, it's not cold or anything like that.
Right.
But I remember, I've been working in the travel industry for over 10 years now. And I remember really when you see the value of it for the first time from a traveler perspective is that first time where all of a sudden all your flights get canceled because there's a snowstorm coming in, and you see this long line of people standing in line looking, waiting to get rebooked, and all I'm doing is sitting on my phone, having a cocktail at the bar, pressing a button, and talking to a travel agent who's got me on the next available flight.
And I've had that experience as well. Having a corporate travel partner like ADTRAV is really invaluable. Look, your people are out on the road. They're stressed to begin with. People say, "Oh, wow, you get to travel." Yeah, we get to see the airport, the hotel, the client, the hotel, the airport. We're back. That's the excitement.
Yeah, and travel. You're completely right. Business travel is not the way that it used to anymore. It used to be anymore. One of the actually our marketing team, Adrian here today, was actually we have her dressed up as a flight attendant to kind of bring it back to the old school. And the old school of like Pan Am, where it's like you walk in and it really is about like service and that white glove experience.
Yes.
Right. We really wanted to bring back the value of the golden age of flight, and just kind of give everyone a reminder of how great travel can be and how personalized travel can be. And I think that that's something that ADTRAV offers very well, especially with our customer service, because as Michael had mentioned, we don't outsource any of our agents or any of our client consulting or any of our account managers, and they're all very hands-on with each client, and I think that's something that's really important.
How many people do you have acting in the role as agents or customer service?
Yes, we're actually, as far as our size in the industry, we're a top 25 travel agency, and that puts us, we have about 220 total employees, and about 120 of those are agents.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a great support group. Now, Michael, there's two sides really of travel. There's the traveler who's out in the field, and then there's the corporate company who's concerned about the travel spend.
Right.
Give us the view from the corporate company's travel spend perspective.
Yeah, and it's completely right how you just said that. There's two sides. So we look at our client as having, or we look at the service we're providing as having two sides. It's to the traveler and to the client. So from the company perspective, we really look to analyze every program in a different way, because company cultures are different. There's domestic programs, there's global programs. There are companies that are more focused on the traveler experience as opposed to more focused on cost savings and mandates. Like, for example, we manage travel for significant organizations in the federal government. So we're actually the travel provider for the Department of Energy, Department of Commerce, the GSA, and the TSA. You would think that I would be able to go through security at the TSA with a high five, but it doesn't really work that way yet. I'm working on that. But the type of travel and the type of audit requirements that the government has to have is going to be much different than, say, the type of travel experience and audit requirements that like a Google or a tech company is going to have. One is going to be more liberal. One is going to be where it's more about the traveler experience. The other is going to be more about audit and compliance. Much like in the manufacturing community, where you have the MSDS forms and you have certain things for compliance. Right. As we work in human capital as well, and every client has different types of audit requirements that they have to adhere to, and different types of data that they need to capture in their travel experience. So it's really, from our perspective, when we go in, we are looking at the company culture, looking at what is going to best influence this travel program, whether that's through technology. There are tools that are out there such as Concur Travel and Expense, which is like an online travel and expense tool, and then we can also build technology that's around that for the traveler to utilize, whether it's automated request forms from the client perspective, if there's certain type of information they want us to capture, such as, like, say, trip objective or cost control measures up front. You know, we have some companies that have pre-trip approvals where every time that they have to book a trip, it has to go to a manager to get approved. We also do all negotiations. So as you start to get bigger in size, if normally it's about $1 million or more in airfare, we will negotiate contracts, and then we'll make sure that we can drive revenue to make sure that those contracts are performing. We benchmark against what industry averages are, and our client consulting services are constantly making recommendations to keep up with the industry and keep up with, to make sure that contracts are performing and that they're the best contracts for those particular clients.
Because you're buying travel time in bulk, I would presume that you've got some very good pricing arrangements yourself with the airlines. Is this something that you pass on as a cost savings to your clients?
It absolutely is, and the best way to look at it in terms of, and I can break it down to the three major categories. It's like you have air, car, and hotel are the real three major, the dominant travel categories. Hotel, we're part of hotel consortiums that are throughout the world, over 30,000 properties throughout the world that have negotiated agreements with. They're part of hotel consortiums that our clients have access to. But then on the hotel side, where we really shine is where we will go into a client and then we'll negotiate agreements for them based on where they travel to in certain cities, and we'll make sure that amenities are included in, such as free Wi-Fi, free parking, making sure that the traveler have the tools that they need and that you're getting the best service in those particular markets. Car rental, for example, I mean, it's making sure that the car rental companies, there's three major ones that are typically used in business travel, and it's just making sure that that culture fits the type of traveler, because there are programs that are out there that a lot of times in business travel you don't want to talk to someone at the counter. You just want to go, you want to pick up your car, and you want to kind of be like the Seinfeld commercial where the guy is walking out and high-fiving and he's like, I don't want to talk to anybody, and that's how it's supposed to be. But then there's other companies that want the handshake and the customer service. Now, airlines are actually an interesting story because airlines used to, back in the golden age when Pan Am was around and all of that, they actually used to really provide negotiated agreements, and they used to have commissions on so many different aspects of their flights, and then they really did away with that. And as the advent of online booking came into play, and the airlines had different distribution channels, they went away. They did away with commissions pretty much on the domestic level. So domestic bookings now are really all about content. It's all about being able to have the content in one spot for you to be able to book, and that's what there's distribution systems that are out there, and one of the ones that we're on is called Sabre. And what Sabre allows is for all of the content to be displayed in one spot. And there are even there are airlines like Southwest where you have to have special technology in order to pull content in, and that is one of the challenges of a managed travel program. And there's so many different channels of content that people are always trying to book outside the system and say, I can find it cheaper on this site. The reality is it typically isn't true. It's a certain type of fare class that's available, and it's our job to educate the travelers and educate the clients on this, but it's about content with airlines. Now, international travel, there are still some negotiations that you can do, and they do offer discounts to agencies such as ours, but domestically, it's all about content.
You know, it's interesting that you mentioned the car rental, because I always feel when I travel and I rent the car that I'm buying the car, but I don't get to keep the car because of the cost of renting the car.
Yeah.
So anyone who can work with ADTRAV and get a negotiated agreement for car rental is probably saving a ton of money.
Yeah, and that car is very it's very easy to negotiate too. I mean, they have some great programs that are out there, even for small businesses that can get you free rental days and upgrades into certain premium class memberships for car rental.
The classic Seinfeld, forgive me everyone, but the classic Seinfeld is at the car rental facility.
Yeah.
If you took a reservation, that means you have to hold the car.
Yeah. You know, and you want to know what's funny is my background actually started in car. I started with Enterprise Holdings. It was my first job out of college, and I was there for 7 years. So I completely understand that, because it really is. Yeah, you take the reservation. Car might not be there the exact minute that you get there, but we took the reservation.
Yeah, and that's definitely changed a lot. I know when we got into Phoenix, we actually got our rental from Enterprise, and there was someone there at the airport to greet us and take us directly to our car. So, you know, that's one of the perks that, you know, is with customer service, that, you know, we can negotiate that and make sure that you're getting that kind of hands-on customer service when you get to the airport and when you get your car, and you know, things like that make a difference to travelers, and it takes a lot of the stress off when you're traveling frequently for business.
Yeah,
especially when you're traveling overseas and you don't have the language, and you're stuck in the airport. You can't read the signs, and where is the car rental, and are you going to a rickshaw or are you going to a car?
Well, you know, and I'm glad you brought that up, because that's actually it's an interesting point, because that also is some of the services that we provide from a travel policy point of view. Because domestically, you're always, as you said, you know, if you're traveling domestically, everyone kind of understands where they're at and what, like, just regular car rental companies are and where to go. But a lot of international travel, just from a security and a duty of care perspective, depending on where you're going, we recommend to companies where you don't rent cars. You know, if you're traveling to Brazil, for example, you might want to just do black car service, because a traveler is probably going to be dealing with different time zones. They're going to be dealing with being tired, and then a lot of you're putting a traveler's safety at risk if it's just your standard policy across the board. We're going to rent cars wherever we go, because a lot of times that's not the best solution. It might be better to spend a little bit more money on a black car service and not risk the traveler being tired, not being familiar where they're at. Maybe you have to drive on a different side of the road, and there's a whole duty of care initiative that goes along with what we do too.
Or other forms of security, like bodily harm.
Yeah, that is.
Right.
You know what's funny too is we have duty of care is a big portion of travel management, and it's one of the especially with companies that are actually overseas. It's called the Corporate Manslaughter Act, where a company can be liable for what their employees do, and need to be able to locate them, and need to be able to if anything happens. And you know, the world's not exactly the safest place anymore,
right?
And if anything happens, you need to be able to locate your travelers and be able to prove that you have access to get them, to notify family members, to get in touch with them and watch out for their safety. But I remember this, there's some partners that we have in the security field, and the guy has always been said, he says, it's like, I'm more afraid of bin drinking than bin Laden. and it really is true, is that a lot of the traveler issues that you have are actually from people that go to conferences like this and they have a little bit too much to drink, or they're in an area where they're not familiar with their settings, and they can get themselves into trouble, as opposed to what normally comes to people's minds, like, oh, a terrorist attack or something like that.
Right.
As part of your services, do you supply certain types of insurance policies, medical evacuation, hostage insurance, and things of that nature?
We have partners that do that. So when we're looking at the entire travel program, we have partners that can do evacuation services and medical insurance. What we typically provide as a travel management company is the ability to locate your travelers based on itineraries that are booked, ability to get in touch with your travelers, whether it's messaging via phone or email, location-based services. So if you're traveling to a particular country and say, like a volcano erupts, like we've had a couple situations where that has disrupted travel. The people that use our services, our clients, can easily just go into a system. We're proactively giving them a notification saying, hey, by the way, you have 15 travelers that are in this affected area, but they also have the ability with a risk-associated map to just pull it up and see, okay, here are the travelers that are affected. Then you can highlight those travelers and just send them a quick message, get them to check in, make sure that everything is okay.
Right, and then also our communications department, myself and two other of my team members, we make sure that we're keeping an eye on these alerts all day long, and seeing different types of emergencies in different places and where we have travelers, and we proactively make sure that the travelers are notified via email as these situations approach, just to kind of give them a heads up of what they're walking into as they travel. So that's a part of risk mitigation that we do.
Just to give our listeners a sense of size and mass of the things that you do, how many travelers do you have at any given time out on the road, so to speak?
That is a good question as far as number of travelers, because it really does fluctuate. We manage programs that have up to 70 million in T&E and travel and expense. But that can be different from company to company, because you might have a company that has 20,000 employees, but they might not travel that much, and you might have maybe only 200 of them travel. But then you also might come across like a startup company or someone that they have 1,000 employees and 1,000 of them travel. So it varies, and it's really just about we try to automate processes as much as possible to be as lean and as efficient as possible. We have people that are trained in Six Sigma and lean processes in our organization to make sure that we're running as efficiently as possible to be able to provide these services to those clients.
Adrian, you mentioned that you're in the communications department, communications specialist, and I'd be remiss if I didn't ask this question. What's your website?
Our website is www.adtrav.com, and we keep our website updated frequently with our leadership team and an overview of our proprietary tools that we have. And as a communications specialist, I've had multiple conversations, and we think that it's really important to be able to publish articles on our behalf, not only for the traveler perspective, but also to the travel manager, to give industry news and insight and updates. And that is something that we're proactively working on weekly, and we publish those on LinkedIn. You can find us on LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook, ADTRAV Travel Management. And we've really tried to integrate our website in with our social media, because that is kind of where everything is evolving to right now. So,
well, certainly that communications piece is important because after the deal is done, it's all about communications from that point forward.
Absolutely. We have multiple clients that request customized newsletters and customized, emails and things like that that they'll get frequently, because what customers really want is they don't want a generic article or a generic newsletter. They want something that is content that's being driven from their specific travel data and is relevant to their city pairs, that they fly to frequently, relevant to how many travelers they have. So they want customized articles and information that really is something when the traveler receives it in their inbox, they're thinking, why should I read this? Why is this important? So that's really what we try to do, is customize all of our communications pieces client to client as they request them, or sometimes we just offer them even if they don't request them, because we feel that as a communication specialist, it's really important to get travelers and get travel managers in with understanding how to get travelers to follow the policy. And so that's what we try to do in our marketing and communications department, is develop pieces that will engage travelers and get them to follow the policy.
With your international travelers, do you supply them either individually or by client or on your website cultural differences and cultural warnings and how to behave and not what to do, what not to do in particular locations?
That goes back to the been drinking and Ben Laden. But we actually do. We go and what we provide. There's technology that's out there. That is also, there's a technology piece called Tripolingo that actually we can provide to our clients that will talk about the different cultures that exist in those markets. But another part of that is that we, in our technology, we can target messaging. Like, for example, there's a reciprocity fee that you have to pay before you even enter to go into Argentina. So like on our itineraries that you get, it will say on that there's a reciprocity fee, and please be advised that you need to do this before you go into the country. So it really is having that's from the agent experience. The international side is really where that expertise comes into play. We actually we do travel for a lot of humanitarian organizations as well. So like CARE, for example, is one of our organizations that we provide travel to, and we're flying them all over the world to areas that really aren't the best to be flying to. Most of the time, the places that they're going are the places that people are trying to get out of. And we have our extensive experience with that type of international travel, and has really made us focus on that type of culture and that type of education because it really is important to know that. Right.
Do you know about the one in Brazil about to be not viewed as a tourist, that you should not wear socks? Do you know about that one? I only heard about that yesterday.
I have not heard about that.
If you wear socks, you are a tourist and become a target.
Oh, wow.
Look at that.
It's amazing.
So put that in your quiver.
I would appreciate that. Thanks for the tip on that.
I should write an article about that.
You should. Yeah. To sock or not to sock?
Adrian, I know that we've all had the experience, particularly if you buy a computer, you take it home, you set it up, then the computer hiccups. You pick up the phone, you call customer service, and there's someone on the other end of the line who speaks a very different form of English than we speak, and you don't have a clue what they're saying. Is that the experience with ADTRAV?
That is not the experience. We don't outsource any of our agents. Our agents are 24/7, 365, and that's really to ensure that every time a client calls, they're going to get a live person who speaks their language and can really actually help them with the problem, instead of putting them on hold and transferring them to customer service. And I think that's important. And being new to the travel industry is I had never seen that before, especially with booking through Expedia and things like that. Having to change a reservation or cancel, that's always very frustrating, but that's not the experience you get at ADTRAV.
That's great. That's another thing that always comes up when you book through one of the online airline travel sites is you set up your reservations, you've got your plane tickets, you've got your hotel, then something changes, and you've got to, for instance, cancel the hotel, and you find out you're getting charged for the hotel anyways, because what you didn't do was read the 18 pages of fine print that said, no matter what you do, we're charging you for this reservation.
Yeah, absolutely.
I imagine that's a big savings with ADTRAV as well, is because you probably negotiated that out of the deal.
Well, and that's one of the benefits of booking through our system is that the types of content that are available within the booking tools and with our agents. So especially if you're dealing with an agent, they're going to educate you on the type of fare. Just so you know, if you cancel this, it's a non-refundable fare. Like there's going to be a penalty. The other thing is just by the size and the number of years we've been in business. I mean, we've been in business since 1977. So we have hotel relationships throughout the world. So if for any reason one of those hotel bookings is that case, we can actually work to try to get that fee waived and get that taken care of for our travelers. But from the hotel perspective and even from the booking perspective, it does give travelers a way that you can, if you do have to change your flights, and what we call that is non-refundable ticket management for the airlines. And that is actually one of the biggest areas that you can save in the airline perspective, is because without using a travel management company, when you say you have all of your travelers and they're booking on all these different sites and they go to switch trips or they cancel their trip, you don't know what happens to that unused ticket.
Right.
And so, that it's a perishable value. So it expires after 1 year. So with our system, we actively track that. We will apply the value of the ticket when you go to book again. We've automated that to where it will automatically book if you have a ticket that is available, and then that way you also are getting reporting showing what tickets you have expiring, so that way those tickets are maximized their value with.
A lot of our listeners are small to medium-sized companies, and they're not the Fortune 500. Does your program, or do you have a separate program that can accommodate the small to medium-sized companies?
Yep, and we do not even have a client on the Fortune 500 list. We do on the Fortune 1000. We have a couple on the Fortune 1000. So we, as a company, actually focus on what we consider the middle market, and what we consider the middle market is anything that's under 15 million in airfare. Now, we have clients that are larger than that, but our focus is on providing those level of services to clients that, they don't want to get lost in the shuffle with, say, one of the larger agencies that have like an IBM or an Oracle, or where they have like 150 million in airfare. Our goal is to provide to the middle market those type of travel services and discounts, and we have companies that literally have 2 travelers that they just want to be able to email someone, they want to be able to call someone and have that agent support, and then we have companies that have up to, as I said, up to 50 million in T&E. So it's really whatever level of service that you want. We don't discriminate.
Well, we're going to have All Metals and Forge Group get in touch with you folks.
There you go.
See what kind of services you can provide us.
Absolutely.
We want to thank Michael Forrester, Vice President of Business Development for ADTRAV, and Adrian Robinett, who helped set up this interview with us, Communications Specialist at ADTRAV. We certainly enjoyed having you on the show. We hope the listeners have picked up some really key information here. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be back with Manufacturing Talk Radio.
Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.